Good evening, everyone. Would like to thank you all for coming to the 2020 induction ceremony in 2021. As we all know, we're here. To start things off, I'd like to invite our principal, Jennifer Graves, up to say a few words.
I know it is kind of crazy. I keep thinking, isn't this our 6th year of doing this? And it's like, no, it's our 5th because of stupid COVID. Gosh. But we're here and we finally get to celebrate our 2020 honorees. And so I am honored. This is my 6th year as principal here at Edison and my 9th year at Edison. And I feel like even though I didn't go here, now I can say I've gone here because it's a special place. And looking around and seeing so many staff members and past staff members here, if I can take a second, and can all our staff members present and past please stand up? Thank you so much. It truly is an honor, and to be at this school and to work with the people here, I over and over again, it's just a special place. And I get the honor every day of being here. And I know I say it a lot. My staff probably gets tired of hearing it, but it's an amazing staff. It's an amazing group of people that truly care about students and want the best for them. And it's our mission. It's our goal is to continue to connect with these kids and get these kids connected to someone or something on this campus. And I see it every day. And I just can't thank our staff. And when it's just something incredible. And no matter if they're in the front office, all of our ladies in the back, we have guidance specialists, our community, Jan and Diane, who is retired now, but we still miss her, campus supervision, and Berta and Cindy. Just there's so many, Brianne Grady. There's just so many people here. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody is family. And that's why you're here, because you're absolutely part of our family. And I thank you so much. But tonight is about our honorees. And we have 7 of them, but I think 6 of them are here tonight, or is it 5 here tonight? 5 are here tonight. And and this is 36 now total. I think we're at 36 total. And wow, every year, we do this during homecoming week, which I think it just ties in perfectly because you have the opportunity to go to homecoming game. And I thank our honorees, some coming back and speaking to our kids again. I think, and hearing Lisa speak today, and I think Dan spoke today in Strachan's class and in Brendan's class, it's just inspiring. It blows my mind of what you have done and accomplished, but more importantly, what you give back. And how you give to others, and show our students basically that this is just the beginning. High school's about finding out who you are and how you grow. And then where you go after this is up to them. But showing them that this is just the beginning of figuring out what to do next and finding your passion. And so I always tell the students, day one is get involved. Try something. If you don't like it, try something else. Or your freshman year, play 3 sports. You'll figure it out, or be in the choir, be in music industry, be in our SIBACs, be in our ACE, find it, try it. You never know, and you're going to find your passion. And so what you're showing us and what you're showing our students is exactly that. You found your passion, and you're passing that along. And so all I can say is thank you. I'm not going to continue to ramble, but I do want to thank one amazing group of people that make this happen every single year, and that is the Alumni Hall of Fame Committee. So those people, please stand. And last but not least, before I hand it back over to him, this whole thing, Alumni Hall of Fame, would not be what it is without Bruce. Bruce came up with the idea. Absolutely. Bruce came up with the idea because he knew we had some amazing people out there and they need to be recognized and they need to be honored. And I thank you so much for coming back to our cafeteria where the air conditioning is broken. So if anyone wants to donate for a new air conditioner, I'm just kidding. At some point it will be fixed. But thank you for sitting in our heated room and enjoying the great food. But most of all, Bruce, thank you for making this happen and have a great evening.
Thank you, Jennifer. Being a history teacher, little history lesson. Actually, Dave White and I kept reading in the Daily Pilot and the local papers and stuff about Newport Harbor having an Alumni Hall of Fame. And we thought that was kind of cool, and they had at least 50 years more to choose from, but we thought that was a really neat idea. And so Dave kept saying, we need to do this, we need to do that. Of course, he was still teaching and coaching, and I was retired. So that's how that all started. And most of you know a lot of the things that I've done. On this campus. You know, I find as you get older, you get more emotional. And this is one of the neatest things I've ever done. What you people have brought back to us is phenomenal. Anyway, I would like to thank my committee and all the people that have helped. Bob Strachan and Brian Boone have gone to extensive lengths to put this all together so we could live stream it for those people that can't be here, and it will be in perpetuity. It will be on YouTube and it's a link there, and I think that's awesome. We're going to try to do this now every year. I've been trying to put something together and it hasn't quite worked out, and I want to publicly thank Bob and Brian for doing this. We have some former people have come back this year. Melissa Murphy. She was in our very first group, and she is actually the youngest inductee that we have. And if you're paying any attention in what's going on in Huntington Beach, her murals are all over the place. It's been really awesome. Jeff Hyder here at my table, CEO of Simple Green, but just a tremendous supporter of Edison High School over the years. Dave White. Jeff and Dave were the second year, I believe, correct? And obviously Dave being the longtime football coach here. Lisa Pate is over here. So she was involved in the development of the test for the Zika virus, and her story is amazing. She's also a great stand-up comedian. If you, I think we do have that on tape. If you go to our website and her speech, it's pretty funny. Anyway, and earlier today, he couldn't stay because he has a presentation. Dr. Paul Tomasic was in the second group as well, but he and Lisa will both be coming back to talk to Trent Jackson's physiology classes, and Kelly, one of Kelly's classes as well. And then Scott is also coming back tomorrow to talk to the music people. So those are really neat things. How this works is I will introduce the presenter. The presenter will come up and give their brief introduction of the inductee. When you come up, as they're coming up, please go over, and I put them in the correct order. We're going to do this, and pick up their plate, and then come back over to this side so we can take pictures for you behind you. I apologize, but my nose is running. Then you can put the plate back down. You'll get to take it later. That's for you. And then the presenter gives their speech, and then we move on. We do have a video for Erin and a video for Roger, and also just a video of the Rohan brothers in general. So that's one of the purposes of doing all this stuff. So we're doing a little out of order here. We usually go in alphabetical order, but we're going to start off with John Guerrero to introduce Kelly Gallagher. I didn't tell John he was going first. I didn't want to ruin his dinner.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Guerrero, class of 1978. I just wanted to thank you for having me here to introduce my good friend, Kelly Gallagher. Before I begin, though, I see that Lisa Guerrero is one of our honorees tonight. And Lisa, you don't know Kelly, but apparently you guys are in a secret competition. Recently, Kelly looked you up on Twitter, and he noticed that you had more followers than he did. So he's been in this mad game to get more followers. I'm sorry, Kelly, she's still winning. Bet you're glad you shared that with me. I looked the other day, you're only about 800 shy. I tried to keep doing it, but it wouldn't let me. I met Kelly here on campus as a freshman. He was a junior hanging out with one of my sisters, Robin, who he dated briefly. Then Kelly dated another one of my sisters, Erin, briefly. I got to tell you, dodged a couple of huge bullets there. Despite him dating two of my sisters, we became friends, and we've remained friends for 43 years now. Kelly's influenced my life in a lot of ways. He's always been there for me through life's ups and downs, which, of course, there have been many. And this is pretty important because I'm kind of a prickly guy, as my daughter tells me. So I don't have many friends. So I'm lucky I found Kelly. When I first heard about Edison's Hall of Fame, I was interested to see who was being inducted. I felt that Kelly deserved to be inducted as someone who spent his entire career teaching high school and improving the lives of his students. However, I knew that Kelly would not be happy if I nominated him, so I kept it my little secret. In July of 2018, I landed in the hospital for some emergency heart surgery. And of course, he came and visited me. On one of his visits, I told him, I have something to tell you, but you have to promise not to be mad at me. I mean, how could he be? I was about to get my chest cracked open. So I told him that I nominated him, and we had a couple of laughs about it. Unfortunately, a few months later, I received a rejection letter from the Hall of Fame requesting more supporting evidence of Kelly's worthiness. Now I'm thinking to myself, oh, crap. How am I going to tell Kelly? God, he didn't make the cut. And candidly, Mr. Belcher, I was a little pissed off given Kelly's credentials. And I almost sent you a nastygram. That's that prickly guy. Instead, I broke the news to Kelly, and we again had a laugh about it. After that, I kind of forgot about the nomination. I wasn't really willing to go through the hoops of documenting your worthiness. And then about a year later, I heard from Kelly that he was being inducted. So now I'm really glad I didn't send you the nastygram. So to conclude, I know Kelly will go into more details about his career and his contributions to education, but I'll share with you briefly just some of his history. He was a teacher for 35 years. He spent most of his time teaching English and literature at Magnolia High School, where many of his students were impoverished. Kelly's also published 8 books focusing on teaching English and literature. During this time, he's become a highly recognized expert in that field and a public speaker. He's a public speaker coaching teachers in 48 states, I think, and even internationally. And he basically teaches other teachers how to teach English and literature and get their students to engage. During his time as a teacher at Magnolia High School in Anaheim, I know he had many more lucrative offers to teach elsewhere. But he didn't. He retired at Magnolia High School, and that's just the kind of person Kelly is. He was committed to his students, and he was committed to his community. And I'm proud to call him my friend. Please welcome Kelly Gallagher.
I should have vetted that before he started. Good evening, everybody. It's crazy to be back here. I have not been on this campus in a very long time, so it's really kind of a thrill to be here. I'll give you an idea how long it's been. The last time I was on this campus, Edison Fountain Valley was still a rivalry. Last time I was on this campus as a student, I don't think it would be hyperbole to say that I came very close to going down the wrong road. I will spare you the home drama details, but I came from a fairly dysfunctional home situation. And I think now looking back that the thing that actually ultimately kept me on the right road were some of the teachers here at Edison. And so tonight, very briefly, I'd like to mention three of them. First one was Mr. Wheeler. Jim Wheeler was my journalism advisor. I think he was the first person who planted the idea in my head that maybe I could write a little bit. I had a regularly appearing column in the school newspaper, the Live Wire. It was called Kelly's Corner. And every issue, it was very cleverly placed in the corner of that. And I don't have any copies of Kelly's Corner. I never kept any. So I will make this plea public. If any of you could find an old copy of Kelly's Corner, I will pay you to make sure no one on earth ever sees it, because I'm absolutely certain it's terrible. But Mr. Wheeler, I think, this is an idea I played with a lot in my own career, is that good writing emerges from lots and lots and lots of bad writing, right? That it's developmental. And when I think back at Jim Wheeler, I think about the encouragement that I received to keep going, even though it was pretty bad. It's kind of like, you have to play a lot of bad basketball before you can play good basketball, which is my really clunky transition to my second educator. My senior year was my varsity basketball coach, Lionel Purcell. Coach Purcell was here 1 year, tragically, but I was very fortunate that it was my year because I learned a whole lot from him. He came at a very fortuitous time because of my immaturity and bad decision-making. I had burned the bridges to the other coaches. And so when he came as a senior, I got a fresh start. And I tried to make the best of that, and I actually ended up playing quite a bit my senior year. And he did make me a better basketball player. But when I think back about Coach Purcell, I think about the things outside the classroom. Mid-season, we had progress reports come out. I was ditching government. I was not going to class for reasons I won't get into here. And so I got the summons to come to the office. And he literally, and I have to say as an English teacher, I'm often put off by the incorrect use of the word literally, but he literally marched me to Mr. Emery's class, sat me down next to him and said, "You will fix this." The implication was very clear. You will fix this or you will not play. I fixed it, right? Immediately. He taught me focus. He taught me work ethic. He taught me what was important. Another time I remember, I'll do one more. He had gotten tickets for the entire team to go to the Inglewood Forum to see the U.S. national basketball team play the Russians. This was in the 70s. This is at the height of the Cold War. And so we met out here in the quad. The bus rolled up. We went to get on the bus. And as we were getting on the bus, we were unaware at that moment that he had come up one ticket short, that somebody had not RSVP'd. And it's quite likely that somebody was me. What did he do? He got us on the bus. He got the assistant coaches on the bus. And he sent us off to LA. He got in his car and drove home. I mean, who does that? What head coach does that? I mean, he taught me compassion. He taught me sacrifice. He taught me, and I mean this seriously, he taught me how to handle teenagers who are genetically programmed to be stupid, right? And so that was a very valuable lesson for me later in life. And then the third and final teacher I've intentionally saved for last because he's in the room sitting next to me at the table, and that's Chuck Jensen. Hi, Chuck. Chuck Jensen was my auto shop teacher in my senior year. I learned a lot in that class as well. The first thing I learned is that I'm quite possibly the least mechanically inclined person on the face of the earth. We were doing tune-ups, and I got the spark plug out, and I was putting a new one in, and it would not fit. It would not fit. And Chuck moseyed on over, and he said, "What's the problem?" I said, "This spark plug will not fit." He looked at the spark plug in my hand. He took it out. He turned it right side up, put it back in my hand. Baby, that fit right away. I learned tune-ups from Chuck Jensen. But I think the bigger thing that I really, and I think it was unconscious at that time, but it became very conscious in my own teaching career, was that I really learned from Chuck that because of my home situation, I was running under the radar. I ran free. I ran untethered. And I'm thinking of a brain researcher I know. Her name is Lori DeSautel's, and she does work on the effects of trauma on the teenage brain. And what Lori says is that kids who are loved at home come to school to learn. But kids who are not loved at home come to school to be loved, right? See, Bruce, you started this whole thing, right? And so I think that's what I got in that class as an adult who took an active interest in my well-being. I also learned to love the Doobie Brothers because he played the damn Captain and Me album over and over and over all the time on vinyl. But what Lori DeSautel says is that at that developmental stage, student on a campus has to make a connection with an adult, has to. And I believe that Chuck metaphorically, I want to be clear there, metaphorically put his arms around me, all right, at a time when I was untethered, in a time where I was heading in the wrong direction. And to give you an idea, what he really taught me is that as a teacher, you have a curriculum, of course, but being a teacher is much bigger than the curriculum. And I'll do one last anecdote to illustrate that. When I found out that I finally passed on the second wave and was going to be up here tonight, I got a call from Chuck Jensen, a teacher I had 45 years ago. And I said to my wife, Kristen, there's no way this teacher is going to remember me 45 years. If he does remember me, it's not good, right? And so he called, and it was immediately clear that he remembered me, but it was good. We slid into conversations, shared some stories and jokes. And in the midst of that conversation, he actually texted me a photograph of the two of us standing out in that quad on Halloween Day, where Chuck was wearing a costume that today would be deemed completely inappropriate, which is why we loved him so much. And my biology teacher, Ralph Morgan, was 6'8". He came to school that day dressed as a baby. He only had on a diaper, no shirt, no pants, The hairiest baby you have ever, I can't unsee it. But the fact that Chuck could send me that photograph and the fact that we could have that conversation, I think is crystal clear evidence that what happened in his room was much bigger than the curriculum 45 years later, right? And so what I like to think is I'm standing here, and I went on to teach high school English myself for 35 years, is that the lessons, and when Bruce said, you know, when we get up here and talk, maybe we want to talk about what we learned at Edison. What I want to suggest is that the lessons I learned here, you know, the encouragement from Mr. Wheeler, the work ethic, the focus, the compassion, the sacrifice from Coach Purcell, the love and acceptance I received from Chuck Jensen at a very critical time, were things that I went and paid forward to my kids. And my dream is that they're now adults paying that forward as well. So Bruce, I just want to say thank you so much. Your deep Charger pride is inspiring. It really is. And to come back here and see this deep Charger pride. When I taught at a school that had a lot of issues and problems, it's not like Edison. And so it's been very refreshing. And I know it takes a lot of hassle and detail to put this on. And so I want to let you know it really was meaningful, and I really do appreciate it. I want to thank Dr. Graves, the principal. Where'd she go? Dr. Graves? Jennifer Graves. As I said, I want to thank Jennifer Graves. Being a principal is incredibly difficult. Being a principal during a pandemic is impossible. And I don't know if you know this or not, but being a principal means that you're also night after night after night at events that fall under the umbrella of the title of I'm not at home with my family. So thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for your cordiality in hosting us today. I want to thank my wife, Kristen. Thank you. I want to thank my wife, Kristen, of 36 years, 40 as a partner. One does not teach full-time, write full-time, and travel full-time and do all three at the same time for 20 years without an extreme level of love and support at home. And so Kristen knows that I would not be standing here without her. I love you. Thank you. And last, John Greer, I just want to say, you know, we all have buddies in high school. We leave high school and often it goes like this and we go off in our separate ways. But John and I never, ever separated, even though I did try to date two of his sisters. We never did date. We never did date much more than, never mind. Okay, so I want to thank Greer and the Greer family because they were also a home away from home at a time that I really needed it. And so, John, thank you. Your introduction was beautiful, and I forgive you for saying the Lisa Guerrero thing. I'm going to get off, but I want to congratulate my fellow nominees. I think it's super cool to be on that wall with you. I read your bios. It's amazing the things that are going on there. And I want to also say that I'm going on that wall with you, but I'm also going on that wall with a former friend of mine who sat next to me in that journalism class. The two of us went out and got our very first paid jobs ever as adults. We got hired by the Huntington Beach Park and Recreation Department to referee youth basketball. So for me to be on the wall with my friend Greg Willard is really important. So I have a friend, his name's Larry. He went to Fountain Valley, and since we both graduated the same year, we've had a running bet every year. Loser buys dinner. So Larry, I know you're watching this. I just want to thank you for 17 straight years of meals. And I'm going to save you a little bit of hassle in a couple of weeks. I'll have the usual. Every day in every way we get a little better. Fight, Chargers, fight. Thank you.
Lisa, I think you have a challenger for your stand-up. I think you could. Just a little side note for John and for Kelly. One of the main reasons of support during the second round you should say, actually came from my oldest daughter, who is an English teacher in the Irvine School District. And she goes, oh my God, he went to Edison? Really? Dad, what's the matter with you? Seriously, that's what happened. So anyway, good start. I'm sure everybody abided by my time limits. But it was definitely enjoyable. Our next inductee is not here, Erin Appleman, but her mother is, and Judy Tomlin would like to come up and say some things about Erin, and then we'll show Erin's acceptance video.
I wasn't supposed to do this. Her dad was, and he went golfing. But he's watching. So I'll try to make it brief, though I noticed some of the stuff I'm saying is also in the brochure. So you won't have to read the brochure after I talk. Anyway, it is my privilege to introduce my daughter, Erin Appleman. Erin is so sad that she could not be here for this award. It means a lot to her. This is volleyball season. She's a coach, so she's busy coaching. Little background on her. Erin fell in love with volleyball when she was a toddler, spending many days watching her father play beach volleyball, and her dad was her first coach. Edison High School became her school, when in grade school and junior high, she and her friends would pile in a car and go to all the football games, and couldn't wait to be a student here. And she embraced all 4 years. When she came to Edison, she played freshman volleyball. Team wasn't very good, but they were better than the varsity team. And they were a competitive young ladies who became good lifetime friends, as well as teammates who really wanted to win. Starting her sophomore year, there was a coaching change. With the pushing and the prodding from Bruce Belcher, he recruited Coach Dave Mose to take over the team. Now, Dave was already a proven winning coach, but he didn't know anything about girls volleyball. What he did know was how to put his coaching skills to work. In the 3 years he coached that team, he took them to the CIF playoffs. This effort was not lost on Erin. Coach Dave Mose cemented in her the desire to be a Division I volleyball coach one day. And all 5 feet and a half inch of her played for San Diego State on scholarship and was senior captain. After graduating, while completing her studies for a master's degree, she was volleyball assistant for 2 years at USD, 1 year at CSUN, and then 9 years at Penn State, a top-level program which won their first of several national championships while she was there. She then had the honor and the opportunity to take over as head coach at Yale University in Connecticut. This was a team that really needed coaching, very similar to her freshman year. What she had was a group of young ladies already successful in academics. Erin drew from her lessons from all her coaches, including her dad and Coach Dave Mose, to turn the program around. In her first 17 years, she has won 10 Ivy League championships, never finishing less than second place with the exception of that first year. She was first Ivy League coach to win an NC2A tournament, and she's done it a couple of times. She has been awarded the Northeast ABC Coach of the Year, Ivy League Coach of the Year, and she's been inducted into the Connecticut Volleyball Hall of Fame. Along the way, she and her husband Christian have raised 2 great children who are now both in college, one playing volleyball. But this honor from her beloved Edison High School is right on top of her achievements. Erin dearly thanks you, Bruce, and your committee for this honor tonight.
Erin Appleman, Erin Tomlin, when I was roaming the halls of Edison High School. I'm very honored to be in the Edison Hall of Fame class, especially with these amazing other 2020 inductees. I really want to thank all of the people that were involved in this special honor. And especially I want to thank my parents for all that they have taught me. My dad, who when I was in 8th grade said to me, hey, you're pretty athletic. You can play tennis or golf because they make money. And of course, being a teenager at the time, I was like, I want to play volleyball because I'm not tall. That would be good. Volleyball is what I picked, and thankfully I've been able to make a career out of it. I want to thank my mom for showing me that a woman could work, raise a family, and be successful at both. It was such a great honor to be able to be raised by her and see that you can do it all. I want to thank Mr. Belcher, and I know by now I probably should call you Bruce, but I just simply can't. Mr. Belcher was with me in ASB and really taught me the beginnings of how to be a leader and how to empower others and encourage others to be excited about what they're doing. And I also really want to recognize Coach Dave Mose. He was fantastic. During my sophomore year, he became the head coach of Edison Volleyball. For those of you who don't know Dave Mose's background, he was a basketball coach for many, many years. Was retired from basketball, and we needed a coach. Our season was about to start. So he stepped up and decided to coach us. And I think the best thing I learned from him is he knew nothing about volleyball, like not a thing about volleyball, but he was a wonderful coach. He knew about chemistry. He knew about tempo. He knew about when to call timeouts, when to be mad, when to be happy. A lot of the life lessons I learned as now as a coach at Yale, I learned from him. And one of the best things he did is he asked me, a 14-year-old sophomore, about volleyball because at the time I was one of the only players who played club volleyball. And then that spring, he went out and became a club volleyball coach. So the lesson I learned was, hey, if you don't know it, learn it. But he was such an incredible coach, and we were able to have really great success for the next 3 years and then beyond with Coach Mose. And I'm just really, truly honored that I had the ability to play for him. Since Edison, my passion continued. I went to school at San Diego State and was able to play volleyball there, albeit I wasn't the biggest blocker in the world, but I could do what I needed to do. Then I got a job at USD, Northridge, and then all the way across country to Penn State. For those of you who don't know, the head coach at Penn State, Russ Rose, is one of the most legendary coaches, and I learned a lot from him. And I got an opportunity to be a head coach at one of the most prestigious schools in the country, Yale University, and I love my job. I work with the brightest students and people in the world, and it's just really, really inspiring every single day. The only thing I would give advice to, if any of the students are watching this, is find your passion and make it your job. That is what I have done. I truly enjoyed my time at Edison, and I really enjoyed the life career I've chosen as a volleyball coach. I want to thank everybody who was able to nominate me for the Edison Hall of Fame. This is such an incredible honor, and I'm really, truly blessed. Thank you, and have a great night.
Our next presenter will be Walter Coles to produce his daughter, Lisa Guerrero.
Thank you, Bruce. They say America is a nation of immigrants, and it is. In the mid-50s, Raul Guerrero brought his wife and 5 children from Santiago, Chile, to Chicago, where he worked as a tailor, doing alterations in a small uniform shop. Within 6 years, he owned his own company, employing over 100 tailors, and was recognized by the mayor and the city council as one of the most outstanding minority business owners in the city of Chicago. Lisa's grandfather. I happened to be in Chicago at the time, in graduate school at the University of Chicago. And as luck would have it, I went to the same church as Raul and his family. And I met his oldest daughter, Lucy, who was not only a Latin beauty, but a most intelligent and engaging person. And I was struck by Cupid. A year later, we were married. A year after that, along comes Lisa. And 2 years after that, along comes my son, Richard. Over the next 12 years, we traveled from Chicago to Washington, D.C., to San Diego, and then finally to a house right across the street from Edison High School, where Lisa spent the next 4 years as a student, and she's going to talk a lot about that. After graduation from Edison, Lisa spent most of the next 10 years in sports entertainment, starting with being a cheerleader at Golden West, and then competing with 1,100 other beautiful women for 8 spots on the Rams cheerleading squad. And after pulling a hamstring in the finals, she made one of those 8 spots. And for 4 years, she was a Rams cheerleader. Followed up by the fact that she was hired by the Atlanta Falcons NFL football team to organize and direct their cheerleading squad. Not to be outdone, the New England Patriots hired her to organize and direct their cheerleading squad. But all of that time, Lisa missed LA and missed her passion for acting. And so she came back. And in addition to having a number of roles in movies and television, on April 22nd, 1998, she was hired to play the villainess in the soap opera Sunset Beach, alongside her friend Priscilla over there, who was her nemesis. The same day, she was hired by CBS, Channel 2, to be a sports reporter. And for the next 51 weeks, she worked 7 days a week, weekdays on Sunset Beach, and weekends as a reporter for CBS. Work ethic. She was hired by Fox Sports Net and filmed a documentary with Hugh Downs called Opening the Tombs of the Golden Mummies. So she went to Egypt with Hugh Downs to do a documentary. Meanwhile, Fox Sports put her on the Best Damn Sports Show, period, where she was the co-host with a room full of jocks, which was sort of the story of her life in sports, being the only woman in the locker room mostly, and was the first woman to get a contract with CBS LA. In 2003, she was hired to be the Monday Night Football sideline reporter on ABC. That year, she was named as one of the 100 most influential Hispanics by the Hispanic Business Journal. In 2006, Lisa was hired by Inside Edition. In fact, she's on right now. Truly, we're missing a story. She was hired by Inside Edition as a reporter. 4 years later, she was then elevated to the position of chief investigative reporter. The job description says chasing bad guys, which she has done for the last 11 years. She goes after people who have done some of the most despicable things and who do whatever they can to avoid being confronted, especially by Lisa Guerrero. If you've ever watched Inside Edition when she's on, you'll know why. She's been hit by cars, driven by criminals. She's been threatened with guns. She's had bodyguards manhandle and injure her, threatened by lawyers and TV preachers. She's also brought murderers to justice, and when law enforcement failed to pursue the case. She also forced a televangelist to pay back millions of dollars in PPE money when he bought a jet plane. Since she joined the show, Inside Edition has risen to #1 in the ratings, and with 10 million subscribers. Where is he? They're #1 in news on YouTube. She's been the recipient of 38 national journalism awards and honors. May I present my daughter, Lisa Guerrero.
Q-tip. That's what they used to call me when I was a freshman here. I walked onto campus at 5'7", skinny, flat-chested, arms and legs akimbo, with short, frizzy hair, glasses, braces, and headgear. The first kid I saw said, "You look like a Q-tip." And I did, and it stuck, so I was Q-tip for a while. In fact, when I went for my freshman picture, the very sweet, kind photographer said, "You may want to take off your headgear, honey, for the picture." Like, okay, so I did, but I still had the dent in my head, my hair. Yeah, I didn't love being here at first. It was really hard. I got bullied. I was weird. My mom died when I was 8. My dad raised me. And I didn't have any influence. I had no sisters, no aunts, no grandma. I didn't know how to be a girl. I didn't know how to wear makeup. I didn't know how to shave my legs. I didn't know how to dress. When I got my period, I thought I had to go to the emergency room. My dad took me. I didn't know anything about being a girl. I literally was that lame. And I was Q-tip. Eventually, though, I found my tribe. But it wasn't before I failed miserably at math, because I have a kind of dyslexia with numbers where I take the last number and I put it towards the front, and I didn't know it. And so I thought I was just stupid at math. So I struggled in math and I got a D in algebra, and it was really, really hard for me. I thought I was dumb in that area of school. I wasn't, I just didn't know that I had a learning disorder with numbers. I also tried out for cheerleading. Bless my heart. I did not make it. But as I said, I found my tribe. I tried out for drill team, and I did make it. And so I became one of those girls with the green velvet dresses and the wiglets with the feather. And it was amazing because we got first place in every single competition we performed in. Our drill team was good back then. But it wasn't for the cool girls. The cool girls were, the cheerleaders. But because of that platform, I tried harder. I took more dance classes. And because I loved the competition, I decided to try out the year after Edison to be a Rams cheerleader, and I made it. So that was cool. But I would never have done that had I not probably crashed and burned here, at cheerleader tryouts. But I love drill team. Also, one of the tribes I found was the drama department. After my mom died when I was 8, my dad put me in theater therapy, grief therapy for kids. And so I was really comfortable on stage. I loved speaking to people. I liked performing. And so when I got here, Terry Giannone was the drama coach, and he was great. And he encouraged me, and he said, "You are good at this. You are a really good actor." And he was he was a working actor. He brought his headshot and resume, and he would go to auditions. And I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing." And as a sophomore, he cast me as the lead in the school play here, Rebel Without a Cause. And guys, that changed my whole perspective on myself. Some sweet mom took my glasses off and did my hair and makeup for me for dress rehearsal. And I walked out onto stage and people were like, "Wow, she's pretty." And I had never heard that before, ever. And it was amazing. And Terry Giannone really helped shape me as a performer. And later I became a professional actor, thanks to Terry Giannone and that platform here. I did morning announcements a little bit later on. Do they still do morning announcements here? Morning announcements. Brenda Mullally and I did the morning announcements, and I thought, this is cool. I love delivering news into a microphone. I would love to do that. And later I became a broadcaster, a newscaster. I wouldn't have done that probably had I not discovered this real love for talking in a microphone and delivering news and storytelling. And finally, I met Mrs. Lemires. I was in her Women in Lit class. And it was a revelation to think that women write these amazing stories. And I think I have stories that I could write. And she encouraged me. She also taught a creative writing class, and she had a club outside of class. And she said, you're a writer. I think you should write. You're good at this. And so I just announced today, I just got a book deal. I would love to tell Miss Lemires that I got a book deal, and she helped really stimulate my love for reading, especially for creative writing. So you know that saying that some of us have seen on social media, what would you tell your younger self? You know that? So I thought about that, and I wonder what I would tell my freshman self. I would say, Q-tip, Edison is going to be hard. You're going to face challenges, there will be struggles, and you're going to crash and burn. But you will find achievement, you'll find success, you'll find your tribe, and you'll get through it. And after high school, Q-tip, you are going to have struggles. You're going to face challenges, and you are going to crash and burn a couple of times in life. But you'll get through it. You'll find success, and you will accomplish great things too. And also, do not take your headgear off during the picture, because the future you wants that picture. She would frame it and put it on her mantle to remind her of how amazing Edison High School was. And I am so proud to be a Charger. Thank you, Bruce Belcher. Thank you to my fellow inductees, and thank you for everybody on the nominating committee. It means the world. Thank you. Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that very much. Our next presenter is a former Charger, taught with me, coached with me. Terry Lorenzen is going to introduce Dan Cairns.
I've got this to make it short. I wanted Barry to kind of proofread it, but he said he couldn't read it at all. So I asked my wife to type it. She told me she couldn't read it. So here we go. I'd like to welcome everybody here also. And I also would like to thank Bruce and everybody else involved in getting this thing off the ground, because I think it's a great way for us to be able to showcase some of our many successes here at Edison. Dan asked if I would do this for him, and I'm honored to do it. As you know, he went to high school here and he played football, he wrestled, and he mostly stayed out of trouble. While he helped us win a title in football, and he was a league champion and second in CIF. But that's not why we're here tonight. Not like everybody else. I think Edison is a special, unique place that has. Ooh. Let's see where. See, I can't read it either. It's produced a lot of alumni that have done some amazing things with ideas, inventions, and deeds. But I do not know that they've touched this local community any more than Dan has. He's been making life here in this community better, one family at a time. Let me explain. While I was in church, I was listening to the minister, and he was talking about humility. And he noted that humility is not thinking less of yourself, rather thinking of yourself less. And I thought, well, that's kind of what Dan has done here. He spent years coaching youth sports, sitting on nonprofit boards, but he also found a way to integrate some of his loves, love of sports, love of Edison and community, and love of helping people. And he did that by starting a college football pool. He's taken 25%, I believe it is, of the pool to donate every year to a needy family in the community. I believe it's been 13 years going, and I think he's approaching $100,000. I think that's pretty short, isn't it? Well, okay. Well, I'm. Thanks for listening. All right.
Hello, y'all. I probably don't need the microphone, but I'll talk into it. I used to say it's not a voice, it's a weapon. It's true. Anyways, Terry, you're a beautiful man in every way a man can be beautiful. I really appreciate you stepping up tonight, and I know I love you, and for a lot of different reasons. You were there for me as a young man, and things we were into, you just helped throw a rope around me a little bit and taught me how to be a competitor and a winner, and not to give anything less than my best. And I really appreciate that from you. And you're a special person, and God bless you, man. Thank you, Terry. I want to say thank you to Bob Strachan. Where are you? Here he is. Yeah. And Brendan Patch for allowing me the incredible experience this morning to address their classes. I had a chance to talk to some of these young people. And as I said earlier, what I discovered again is the kids aren't changing. It's we that are changing. We're getting older. The kids are the same. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. I made them all pull their masks down and smile for me. And it was just a nice thing to see. It was a wonderful, wonderful morning all the way around. Bruce, Jennifer Graves, Joey Loomis, and the committee. I want to thank you very much for my induction and just for the work you do. Bruce, you especially. I know this is your baby. Bruce was my freshman football coach in 1975, and the things he's done, especially lately, for this incredible group of people. And when I tell you, I've been involved in 2 of these before. I've missed 2, but I've been to 2. Bruce, what you do for this Edison community and these Hall of Fame inductees and their families is very special. And I'm forever indebted in gratitude to you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Okay. Joey, appreciate your help hooking me up with some really special families in need the last few years. Many of you know Maya Brown. Maya Brown was a counselor here. She's no longer with us. She helped hook me up with a couple different families in past years. And then it kind of just went away. Through my football pool, I find families in many different ways. Sometimes things fall into my lap and it's very obvious to me. I have friends or I have associates or whatnot, but I'd say a good half the time I've been getting referrals to families in need right here from this Edison high school community, and which is pretty cool. And now that Joey and I have a good working relationship, I'm excited to, in fact, speak with you at some point in the near future because holidays are coming up. You guys know the college bowl season is, right around the holidays. So anyways, I want to congratulate all my fellow inductees, both past and present. You're an incredible group of people, and it's an amazing set of accomplishments that you've all created for yourselves and done through your life. Frankly, it's when I think about this little 2-mile square area that we call our Edison High School community. And Bruce and I spoke about this morning. The people that have come out of this place, it's really quite amazing. It's an amazing group of achievers in every walk of life. And I'm just really proud to be a part of it. So I thank you for that. And I congratulate all of you on your achievements because they're remarkable. I want to just tell my wife, Crystal, my beautiful wife over here. People, she's a rock of our family. She puts up with a lot of me, and I don't know how else to say it. But she's an amazing woman and life partner. And one of the coolest things she ever said to me was regarding the football pool, because it takes a lot of my time. And by the way, Mr. Wheeler was cool. And I did his sports column for the paper too, for like my freshman year. And it was one of the neatest things that he taught me. And Jim Murray, of course. I fell in love with Jim Murray's writing, the LA Times sports page. But my love of college football and my opportunity to spread my spiel to my 400 plus players every year. I send a daily email out to everybody. I give them the review of the previous day. I give them the preview of the upcoming day's games, and then whatever else I feel like spewing into their inbox, and it's usually good stuff in my own opinion, but I get a lot of positive stuff, mostly from Trojan fans. And I'm not a USC Trojan, but I'm a 34-year season ticket holder. So I got some clout with those people. But anyways, I digress. But my wife made a point to me that you have taken your love of college football and your willingness and wants to help people and combine those things to create an unbelievably important experience for people. And I can tell you that sitting in a room with a family that has no idea what's about to happen, they just know they were called to come see us. And the last couple times we met in the office over here, and I got an envelope big as a Nerf football under my arm full of cash, right? 2 years ago, it was to the tune of $18,770 in cash. I didn't hand it over all at once because that would be, that could be a problem. But anyways, long story short, we get the money to the families, but to see the look on these people's faces, it's like slapping them upside the head with a wonderful surprise. And it's been an incredible experience. So honey, anyways, I really appreciate you saying that because it tied it all in really, really nicely for me. I love you. Thank you. Crystal and I, we've raised, my daughter Dana's traveling overseas. She's in Spain right now, teaching English second language. And her older daughter is no longer with us, unfortunately. We lost her last year to cancer. But I know she's really proud of me. And I know she loved me very much. And anyways, I'm just indebted to you guys. Every day, you're my inspiration. And you make me so proud, everything you do. So I love you. Okay. My mother and father. So my dad moved us here in 1968. My mom and dad were from Rhode Island. We lived in Maryland at the time, and there was a blizzard on the eastern seaboard in 68, late 67, early 68. So he came out, he had a meeting at McDonnell Douglas, and he woke up at the old Huntington Beach Inn down here. Driftwood restaurant, the pitch and putt. And he opened the curtains on Monday morning, saw the sun shining in the middle of January, and 68 degrees on the TV was going to be the high. And kids running across the street and the palm trees and the whole thing. He's called my mom, said, Mom, we're moving to California. Yeah, I'm going to get a job and we're going to move out here. And 2 months later, sure enough, we were here. Now, talk about hitting the jackpot. Young kid, first grader. And all of a sudden, I'm living in southeast Huntington Beach, California, of all places to come. And how blessed am I and how fortunate that move was. So, Pop, thanks for that. You did the right thing. I promise you. Yeah. Growing up, my father was a nonstop community volunteer. He served 2 8-year terms on the Planning Commission, Homeowners Association, Boy Scouts, you name it. Very instrumental in laying a foundation and showing me the way. My mother did the same thing. Some of my buddies used to call my mother the Flash because she'd come in the door. We'd be sitting around. She'd come in the door. She'd run upstairs. She'd go to the dining room where her office was, and she'd go in the kitchen. She'd go back upstairs in the dining room, come in, say goodbye, and gone. Oh, there goes the Flash. She was a little Italian woman from Rhode Island. She always told me, we had a sign coming down the stairs that said, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. And I think that's one of the most beautiful sentiments a mother could ever teach her son. And I try and smile as much as possible. And in fact, I told the kids this morning how important it is to smile, to let people know that, be friendly and smile. It's just a great thing. Bottom line, my mom was also involved in 5 or 6 different organizations and activities my entire childhood. And to have parents like that to kind of set the example or show the example was very important to me and continues to be. And Dad, I love you. Thank you so much for all the lessons you've taught me. Briefly want to say to my brothers, Jimmy and Chris over here. Jimmy's class 81, Chris's class 84, 2 of the brightest and most creative people I know. While I was out on the street throwing the football, playing baseball, causing trouble, my 2 brothers, they were the creative guys. They were doing artwork. They were watching Star Trek, building models, and all these things I can't even comprehend. I can barely turn a screw. And I hope that I was as good a big brother to you guys as you were little brothers to me. I love you guys. Thank you. See a lot of friendly faces out here tonight, friends of mine and my Charger brothers and sisters. I can't say enough about it's something I also talked about this morning to these kids. I tried to impress upon these seniors. You know, you look around the room in 9 months, you're never going to see 90% of these kids ever again in your life. And that's just how it goes. So you have to nurture relationships. And my Charger brothers, my Bowman brothers, my Stevens brothers, all my brothers, my old teammates, my pals, my classmates. I really thank you guys for being here. Each and every one of you is very special to me. And I love you. I just love all of you. So thank you. The Charger family is very strong. I'd like to just acknowledge 3 very special people that are here in this room. First is Barry Waters. Coach, that's Barry over there. Barry was our defensive coordinator. I had a little bit of fear that he instilled in me, but I got to tell you, Barry was his guidance and his friendship. Yes, stand tall. I'll still listen to you, man. Barry's guidance and friendship for the last 45 years has been instrumental and so appreciated. Barry, you're one of a kind, and I just can't say enough good things about you. So thank you for being there for me always. Okay. Yeah. I'd also like to acknowledge Jeff Hyder, my teammate, class of 1978. I don't think people know enough about this guy, and I heard your name mentioned earlier, and for good reason. No surprise that your business career has been outstanding, but more importantly, the things Jeff does consistently and all the time for this community are unmatched. I promise you. And Jeff, I commend you, and respectfully, sir, you're an amazing guy. So thanks for being here tonight, my friend. You're a great teammate. I'd also like to acknowledge Nancy Bucos. Nancy, yes, you, back there in the back row. And for good reason. Your energy and enthusiasm for this community is also unparalleled. I appreciate everything you do, and I know a lot of other people in this room do as well. You're an amazing woman, and I'm very proud to call you a friend. I very much admire all 3 of you people. So thank you very much for being there. My coaches, my teachers here at Edison, I heard 2 names earlier, Chuck Jensen, who is just Mr. Cool as far as I'm concerned. I told Bruce earlier today that when we lost Mr. Jensen after the 79 class left school, he went over to Ocean View. This school lost a true gem. Chuck was an amazing teacher and friend. Yes, you bet, Chuck. And Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler was great, man. He was a great teacher. Mr. Garland, what an amazing guy. What an amazing teacher. And that, yes, please, for Mr. Garland. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the greatest class ever in the history of this school, at least as far as I'm concerned, and many others like me back in the day in the 70s, was the Ammon and Lee show that went on. Barry Lee and Ken Ammon put on a great current events and social studies class, as I recall. And oh man, if you all could have had a chance to sit in on one of those, it was a beautiful thing to watch. So anyways, very influential people, preaching accountability, which is something we all need to learn. And it was just a great thing, but a very huge reason for our success, without a doubt. I want to talk about briefly just community involvement. I got involved when my kids started playing sports. I coached 15 girls softball teams. I coached a bunch of soccer teams. I was the medicine man and the tribal chief in the Indian Princess and Indian Guides. Believe it or not, this guy here pulled off a triple cartwheel at a campfire one night in Catalina. Yep. Just like Tommy Boy. Yeah. In fact, about 6 months ago, I ran into somebody somewhere, and he was with his wife, and he's going, "Man, I know you, blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "I got it." He goes, "Honey, this is the guy that he was wearing the horns, the headdress, and he did 3 cartwheels around the campfire." And she's looking at me going, no way. So anyways, those are really fun times I share with my kids. Memories we'll have forever, and I wouldn't change a thing. There's nothing like having kids in your care, so to speak. And coaching was a lot of fun, and big part of me wishes at some point I would have done something like all you coaches here had done. Lastly, the football pool. It's been an amazing experience, and helping people is really what this life's all about. And I think the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. I just want to say one last time, I'm so incredibly honored to be up here and with all of you, and committee, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. After Dan was speaking today, we were walking out in the parking lot, and he said, "Yeah, I gotta go back and look at my speech. I timed it. It's 13 minutes, and I gotta pare that down." Good job, Dan. Hey, I think I'm involved in the pool. I've never played the pool. What got me was Dan was doing this, and it encouraged me to just donate money. And that's the effect he has on people. Our next presenter is Greg Lai, who will introduce William Wang.
Gotta move this down. Thank you, Bruce. I was just notified that I'm not the inductee. So I apologize, William. No, actually, thank you for this honor, and we honor all the inductees. Phenomenal role model. So I'm excited to say a few words about William, but these are not my words fully. I was able to talk to a bunch of his friends, many that are here today. So these are all our words. And William was the class of 1982. Quickly, because of Dan, William and his William and his family immigrated to the United States from Taiwan, and he was only 12. Not many of us can imagine coming to a new country for a better life and leaving the only home that you know and saying goodbye to all your best friends. Worse, William didn't know any English. At Edison, though, however, Bill made many new friends, and many here today. For most of us, high school really was teenage angst. But to Lisa, the band geeks, we thought you were cool and hot. And I thought I heard something about Mr. Garland. We learned a lot about teenage angst, but too bad it was senior year, not freshman year. Psychology. Anyway, I'm sure William must have had that teenage angst, but he never showed it, right? His high school friends described William as having a big smile, a big heart, and big ideas. I look back today and I recognize that as the seeds of his quiet courage. William left Edison to go to USC. Quite disappointing for all of us that went to UCLA, but still a good school. He graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, but he would admit that he was more passionate about the video arcade game Robotron than his studies. And for sure, and thankfully for all of us, William didn't peak in high school or college. After USC, William took his passion for marketing and innovation to build a better monitor. He launched MAG Innovation and Princeton Graphics. He would become a millionaire by the age of 30. He would lose those millions and 40 million more. He would face incredible success and also depressing failure. One rainy night, he would face a fight for his life. Far away from his family, among smoke and flames and plane wreckage, he would escape death, where many did not. In 2002, he would mortgage his house and launch a firm called Vizio and go on to build a billion-dollar global business by leapfrogging his competitors. Vizio would go on to win numerous awards of excellence. William has been recognized by so many that his office is a collection of awards too many to quote here. His impact as a philanthropist and his sixth sense for innovation is only matched by his authenticity and humility. He's number 25 on the Forbes most notable Chinese Americans. We talk about immigrants, and his rank is rising. Pretty good for an immigrant who couldn't speak any English. Most recently, Vizio went public on the NASDAQ and is rapidly becoming a pioneer in data and data analytics, transformed from a TV company into a leading tech company. But all through this, the William Wang we knew in high school is the same William Wang we know today. Quiet, but positive, trustworthy, loyal, generous, a friend you can count on. I have a final story before we bring William up. William and I were having lunch at a local restaurant. As our food was delivered, William had noticed the restaurant staff struggling with the large bank of TVs along the main wall. The picture wasn't coming up. I hadn't noticed, but William had noticed that they were Vizio TVs. He asked the server if he could help and asked the server for the remotes. Imagine the CEO of Vizio working the remotes to bring those TVs to their peak performance. No mention of who he was, no knowledge of who he was, just the concern for his customers, that they were taken care of. And I feel that as a friend, William's always been concerned about his friends and his family. It's a moment of reflection and pride for me to see him to be such a role model and my friend. So William, there's something wrong with my remote. I need you to come up here and help me with it.
A couple corrections. I want to go to UCLA after Edison High, but UCLA rejected my application because my GPA wasn't high enough. Number two, we're public in New York Stock Exchange, not NASDAQ. And just in case you want to invest your money, your IRA, your retirement fund, our ticker is VZIO. If you want to see Lisa on Inside Edition, hotter and cooler, please buy a high-resolution 4K Vizio TV. Or those college football game. Dan, what kind of TV do you have? Thank you. Here we go. All right. Very good. So I first came to Edison campus 43 years ago. I was new to California, like 2 or 3 weeks new, and had only been in the US for 2 years. I had no friends, don't know any teachers, and had absolutely no idea what my future would be like. I did, however, have many dreams during my days at Edison. Having no windows throughout the classrooms, the campus here, made my daydreaming a little harder. But I still managed. I still don't understand why this campus had no windows. You know, all right, good. Yeah, so you need AC all the time, right? Sorry, I don't build AC. I can't give you AC, but I have plenty of TVs. I can make this picture look a lot better. On me. I dreamed of wearing a varsity Letterman jacket with a E on my chest and with that beautiful golden lighting bow on the back of me. I never got one. I dreamed of being a preppy. We were just talking about earlier. Preppy. What's a preppy? My wife asked me what's a preppy. I don't know, got somebody explain to her. They party every Friday night after the football game. They hang out with the hottest girls on campus. This was my dream. I dreamed about being the smartest kid in the school and having everyone else copy my homework. Great. Well, we all know that didn't happen. I tried for the baseball team. Within 2 weeks, I got caught. I was a kid that sat alone in the cafeteria right here somewhere by myself. And my GPA, I mentioned earlier, was 3.3. But thanks to Mr. Belcher, I did get an A on driving 8. Otherwise, my GPA would be 3.1. However, it didn't really stop me from dreaming. It didn't stop me from trying. And it didn't stop me from improving myself. And it didn't stop me from charging on in my life after high school. It didn't stop me from believing in myself and always giving the best I had. It also didn't stop me from getting the prettiest girl to marry to, Sakura. Stand up. All right, okay. And I want to thank you, Edison. Thank you for telling me I need to train harder so I can deserve my Letterman jacket, which I still don't have, but I got this today. First thing I earned from Edison. And thank you, Edison, for teaching me how to improve my social skill. And thank you for educating me that a report card need to be earned with hard work and discipline, and not just wishful dreaming. For all the students who are watching, if you have a Letterman jacket, if you're top of your class, and if you're a student body president, I will forever be jealous of you. And you can do better. And for all the students who don't have that 4.0 GPA, and the 4.0 is a 5.0 now, 4.0, or you don't have a Letterman jacket like myself, you're not a student president, you still could definitely have a successful life like myself. You never know. You never know, 40 years later, you might be getting your name on the wall of Hall of Fame. I want to thank you again, the Hall of Fame committee, for including me. It's an honor, and it's a privilege to attend Edison. And the reason I'm here is because it's the 4-year I spent at Edison. Thank you. And by the way, Christmas coming. Black Fridays is probably a month and a half away. And when you walk into Costco and Sam's Club, you know what kind of TV to buy. You have problem yeah, I'll give you charges discount for sure. Yeah, sure. And please, if you have any problem getting it or you need a discount, let me know. Thank you. Thanks.
People, I guess, forget the power of original music. If you think about movies, for example, every great movie has an original score and people identify with that. You can do that same kind of originality for your little mini movie, whether it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Long.
An original piece of music can be, of course, scored not just to the action, but it can be completely built from scratch to be just what you need it to be.
To reimagine the jingle as just a brilliantly written song that is consistent with the brand's values, that's the coolest way forward. You just have to have a little courage.
170.
Sorry, we may adjust it. Right.
Right?
The way music's made these days, everybody's doing stuff on the internet and bouncing around and overdubs one at a time. Nobody really creates full-on bands like this where you're gathering this energy from everybody, making changes on the fly.
These are the best days for Wojun Brothers, to get to be in the studio and make music together with the guys we really love.
And with my brother. Scott and I are yin and yang.
Yeah, yin and I'm yang, or maybe I'm yang, I don't know.
I jump out of airplanes and fly planes and, got into trouble, and he's the cook and the guy who kept it between the lines and always did the right thing.
Well, we call Roger the Shark. He's an incredible salesperson, and he's passionate about the role that our business plays in making great advertising.
He has master's degrees. He has orchestration and arranging chops that I could never, but our values are core and they're absolutely interchangeable.
We both understand that we couldn't do this business without the other one.
At the heart and soul of what makes the Wojun Brothers so great is the brothers. Is Roger and Scott, and this partnership, I think, that you can only get with brothers. And they are complete opposites, and yet they work so perfectly together as such. And you watch them in the studio, you know, Scott has the ability to talk to musicians at their level about music, and Roger has that kind of ability to inspire and, you know, to really talk about it from a conceptual level.
Man, they know more stuff than you do. They have things in their head that you've never heard of that are awesome. They're completely collaborative. They don't whine. Roger's hair is awesome. They get the best players, and it makes a huge difference.
They call me up and ask me if I can just be part of their world to make their world look better.
We work with the absolute best musicians in the business. Tim, I liked when you were throwing that.
That's probably one of the biggest rewards of what we do. We have an idea, maybe it should be this drum groove and have this energy, have done our preparation, and then they come in and it's just like a rocket coming out of a silo.
That is so badass. We assume that the whole thing is going to be brought to another level by bringing in the greatest musicians and letting it go, fly, little bird, become awesome.
And because they love to come into a room and make music together, which is sort of the reason we all got into music in the first place, there's always an extra dose of joy and excitement. They love to see each other.
April, I'm around. Let's hang.
Are you still rehabbing?
A lot of companies now, they just don't even hire live musicians. It's just all programming stuff. The Wojans, they like to go for the real live thing, and it makes a difference. Nothing sounds like that.
There's a lot of times things go on the air and people go, that has to be the Wojan brothers. If it's really a clever song and it's an A+ production, it's probably us.
Dick, would you give us a little bit of that song? Would you mind?
I'm going to need some tea and lemon. Yeah. No, it was way out west, there's a story told about a bunch of cowboys.
Mini sirloin burgers was one of the hits of the last few years.
And Dick fearlessly going where no one in advertising will go.
You know, little people on little cows and little horses and little baby mini burgers. I think Jack in the Box is one of those proof of the pudding that if you have the courage to do original music, it really takes you to unbelievable places.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Licensed music would never have taken you to the place that, oh, no, you didn't, took you. Yeah. This little song just blew up on the internet.
They wanted to know who did the song, what's it about. The client got all this press that you just couldn't have paid for with millions of dollars in a traditional sense.
We believe with all the opportunities available in music today, with artists and bands and all the boundaries are gone, there's no excuse for not creating something original that's so good that you're actually creating pop culture. And when people want to know about what that music is, it takes you to the brand and you own it and you strengthen yourself with it. Your yeah seems a little too yeah instead of yeah. When you work in this kind of environment and sink this kind of quality into your product, it's something that everybody can recognize.
We're good. We meet people all the time who say, God, I could never work with my family. But I don't know that I could do it any other way.
There isn't a day that goes by that I don't look them right in the eyes and have pure gratitude to be able to come to work with them. We literally couldn't run our business without each other.
You try to diss me, now you're gonna wish you were dead. Oh no, you didn't. After I deliver, your blood will be a river of red. Oh no, you.
To introduce Roger Rohan, Jeff Dirksmeyer.
So Lisa, what is it they say in Hollywood? You don't work with dogs, kids, or follow a slick video, something like that. Well, that's what I get to do. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I should start this off by saying good morning, Chargers, and welcome to another edition of the Morning Announcements. Lisa, I followed you, or I was ahead of you by about 7 years by participating in the morning announcements. If you were Charger alumni in the early 70s, you heard Roger Wojan. You can say Wohan, you can say whatever, but it's Wojan. And we're part of the Edison morning announcement team for 3 years. My name is Jeff Dirksmeyer, Edison High School class of 1975. It is my honor to introduce our next Edison High School Hall of Fame inductee, Roger Wojan, class of 1974. Roger regrets that he could not be here with us tonight. He's in Tampa, no doubt enjoying a cocktail aboard his beautiful boat with his beautiful wife. Before I go on, I would like to ask Bruce Belcher if the statute of limitations has expired on 1975. I happen to have the activities office sign that somehow ended up in my possession for the last 46 years. I think it's time to be repatriated. Thank you very much. Roger and I spent countless hours in that activities office. For those of you that remember, our ASB faculty advisors at the time were Mel Heckman and the legendary Lyman Clower. Now, I'm not saying that Roger's introduction into the Edison Hall of Fame would come as a surprise to either one of these gentlemen. I'm not saying they're rolling over in their graves, but I'm sure they're smiling down on us tonight. I met our inductee Roger in the summer of 1971, some 5 decades ago. I was a lowly incoming freshman, and Roger was an exalted sophomore, soon to be the sophomore class president. This was the time when Edison was first allowing women, girls, to take shop classes, and men, boys, were allowed to take home ec classes. That summer, Roger and I were in a bachelor foods class together. I could tell you a story about baking or about making the dessert Baked Alaska. That's a dessert dish that requires flaming brandy, an alcoholic beverage. But I'm still worried about those darn statute of limitations. So we'll go by on that. Roger is truly a Renaissance man. He has an undergraduate degree in religion from Princeton, a master's in theology from, undergraduate in religion from Pepperdine, a master's in theology from Princeton Theological Seminary. He is a licensed pilot and an award-winning ad man, a master parachutist, a singer, songwriter, and musician. The list goes on and on. As a side note, Roger's son Skylar followed his father into aviation and is now an FAA air traffic controller. In my job as a captain for American Airlines, I often speak to Skylar on the radio when I'm descending into the San Diego area. It is a fitting arc indeed. It is now my pleasure to introduce via video my friend of 50 years, Roger Wojan, Edison High School, class of 1974.
Greetings from Treasure Island, Florida. I'm Roger Wojan, and first, thank you for including me in the Edison High School Hall of Fame. It's an honor and a surprise. I think I was voted least likely to succeed my senior year. What a difference 30 years can make. So how did I succeed in the music business, and why did it take so long? Well, Edison High School was my coming of age. I loved playing football and was class president for a couple years, but primarily I was a music geek. I joined literally every type of band or choir that was available to me, and there were many. That's where I spent the next 4 years. This is where Edison's incredible faculty came into play. 3 very influential teachers for me were Dick Odie, Gary McJilton, and Gail Roth. Mr. Odie was so knowledgeable and passionate and had such a deep voice that he was a little intimidating. Classes were strict and on time, and it was hard singing a cappella. Your voice might stick out and there was no room to hide. Not surprisingly, the best thing I learned from Mr. Odie was, if you're gonna make a mistake, make it big. Gary McJilton had the patience of Job. Band had a lot of people making a lot of noise, and it was hilarious watching Gary trying to keep things under control. Despite our challenges to his sanity, he never gave up on us. Finally, there was Gail Roth. She was the one that really saw me for who I was and my potential. She never judged me and was an incredible teacher, confidant, and friend. So music was my thing, and as graduation approached, I wanted to skip college altogether and just play in our rock band. But my dad was infuriated and told me, if you don't go to college now, you'll be a failure. Thanks, Dad. Scott and I gave ourselves a chance after graduation, but the dream faded. After a year of self-examination, I decided to go to college. Fortunately, I got full scholarships to Pepperdine University and Princeton Seminary. They were amazing schools, and I learned so much, but I still didn't have a career in mind. Teaching? Maybe. First, I had to earn some money. In 1982, I went into advertising. It wasn't quite as old school as Mad Men, but close. I worked in New York City with Ogilvy and Mather, and in Los Angeles with Chiat Day, just as we were launching the Macintosh. I was persuasive and full of ideas. Mostly, I learned a lot about ad production and music. It was the intersection of these two things that provided our direction. It became obvious that I'd found what my life was looking for. We just quit our jobs cold turkey, wrote a business plan on a beanbag chair, and set out on the career of a lifetime. Wojan Bros Music had humble beginnings, but grew into one of the most successful jingle companies in the country. We found our niche. It's hard to express how great things turned out. We focused on big national campaigns, and right away we got Super Bowl spots. We created hilarious songs that became memes. We built a reputation as talented and funny writers and producers. What was our recipe for success? How did we take what we love and hammer out a living doing it? We had some talent and a lot of luck, but basically we lived on our principles: commitment, enthusiasm, authenticity, and integrity. What a blast it's been. So that's my story. Thank you once again for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's a true honor. Scott, take it away.
And to introduce Scott, Colleen Costello and Stephen Scott.
Wow, the thought that just occurred to me, if your younger selves could have seen you here tonight, what an inspiration and comfort that would have been to all of you, because it certainly is to me. Thank you. We saw this amazing video covering what Scott's done, and I've heard some great timelines of what people have done, but I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. If you came in here, if you haven't been here before, and if you did go to school here, you know the bowl out here. And I want to focus on about an hour in that bowl in 1974 to reveal something that was really special to me about Scott. I'd imagine some people might have a vague memory of who their ASB president was, and most people wouldn't have any idea at all about how they were elected. But Scott's election to that office was truly unique. So I'd like to recount it for you. We students were assembled outside in the bowl to pick our next ASB president, and there were some great candidates to choose from. Unfortunately, none of the numerous rounds of voting that we conducted gave any one candidate the 51% tally necessary to become president. It seemed as though we were hopelessly deadlocked until nominations were opened up to the floor, and J.D. Elmquist, a brave, outspoken, larger-than-life student with flared bell-bottoms and a huge, meticulously maintained white guy afro, from the drama department, no less, jumped up and with great flourish proclaimed, "I want to nominate Scott Wojan, our next ASB president." what happened next? A little backstory. Scott always came across as an unassuming, low-key kind of guy. But whenever you were with him, no matter what your social status, you always felt like you were the center of his world, like you were the most fascinating person he'd ever talked to, with the funniest jokes and the most profound insights. He focused on what you were saying, how you were saying it, and the mood you were in, and how life seemed to be affecting you at that moment in time. It wasn't really an affectation or a manipulation. He really was that interested in you. It was simply his instinct and joy to be that kind of friend. And if you ever met his mom, you'd know where that nurturing spirit came from. So here you have mild-mannered Scott, his name being thrown out into the, by this time, desperate ring of political ambition by this wild-haired drama groupie who was whipping up the crowd like a revolutionary from Les Miserables. And you could assume that everyone in that group who would decide Scott's electoral fate knew who Scott was. And many, many of us knew his character, kindness, and integrity firsthand. So when his name was put forward by JD, we all looked around briefly at each other and then spontaneously yelled, "Yes!" After another round of voting, Scott was our ASB president. That's how popes are elected. A prospective pope can't campaign to seek endorsements for the job. In fact, he can't even express a passing interest in possibly ever wanting to have the position of pope someday. His name can only be put forward by his peers who know him well and whose values meld with the nominees. And that's how it was with Scott and us on that election day. He didn't have ambitions to accomplish what he did, but it was what fate had planned for him and us all along. He didn't seek power, influence, perks, or popularity. He just reaped the rewards of being a consistently kind, decent, accomplished person that he was, and was given something he never sought out or asked for, but so rightly deserved. You could tell Scott was as dumbfounded as the rest of us by the quickly unfolding events, but he graciously went along and accepted the position. And lucky for us, he did, because he was an astounding and beloved president. And why beloved? Because he wasn't some stereotypical big man on campus candidate who seemed to want power for power's sake. In Scott, we got someone who was truly the best of us in service to the rest of us. I've thought a lot about the events and ramifications of that day over the years, and I ask myself, what student body ever got so lucky? And proudly, what student ever made a better decision? Thank you, Scott, for giving us an enduring example of the unanticipated benefits and rewards for simply being a decent, kind human being, and for being a great friend. Thank you. Kelly?
Costello's talk off the cuff, so if it makes you nervous that I have things written down, relax, I'm not going to be long. We've all heard tonight about Scott's many accomplishments, and Steve shared a great story of who he was in high school. Let me assure you, we've been friends for over 51 years, and all the accomplishments and all the wonderful people and talented people he's met over the years, he is unchanged. He's still the person that has friends in the geek band, in the jock clique, in the drama department. He would still be a favorite of Mr. Garland, the drama teacher in the administration. We missed out on really Scott's greatest accomplishment was not covered tonight. And that's one I would like to cover for you. He's a doting son to his family, lucky to have him still in his life. He's a loving husband, 31 years, to his beauty, Terry. We know he's a brother, and we certainly, those of us gathered tonight, we know he's a friend. And if he hasn't been a friend because you were some other class besides 74, meet him tonight and you will have someone on your heart forever. His greatest accomplishment are his daughters. They could not be here tonight. They could not travel to be here, but they wanted to address the crowd. And so my voice, it is their words. I have to say, it does not come as a surprise to my sister or me that our dad is receiving this honor. There are a lot of incredible dads out there, but I mean it when I say it. He is a particularly special one. Scott Wojan is gifted, uniquely gifted. He strikes a curious balance of grace, integrity, determination, and talent, and he walks the line all too effortlessly. It goes without saying he is an exceptional, wonderful musician, but I don't think that's why he is here tonight. He is here for all the little details in between. It is the time he takes, his wide open heart, and the way he listens. Dad, watching you grow as a musician and a leader has been one of the highlights of our life. Thank you for showing us what it means to be intentional and to be vulnerable. It is our honor to love you and to be loved by you. Thank you for honoring our father, Tess and Haley Wojan. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my friend of over 50 years. I was 7 when I met him. He's much older. My dear friend, Scott Wojan.
I'm a soft talker, unlike some of the other fellows tonight. Give me a little bit of juice. Thank you. Thank you, Colleen and Steve, for your kind words. And I want to give special thanks to Wendy Kroll, who's not here. I believe she threw our name in the hat, Roger and my name. Thanks also to my old pal, Dave White, who in 7th grade taught me how to make Nestle strawberry milk one day after school. That was pretty much instant friendship. And to Bruce Belcher for telling me to just take as much time as I want because I'm at the end. Kidding, sort of. And thank you to the rest of the committee for honoring me. It's nice to be recognized. You started this crying thing, and now they've got me going. It's wild to come on this campus, to be in this room again after so long. I haven't not been here since 1974. I'm not much of a spotlight person. In fact, I was only the 3rd loudest of the Wojan children. So I've written down some of my thoughts. I hope you will indulge me reading a bit. In thinking about my remarks for tonight, I've been flooded with memories. My family moved to Huntington Beach in 1963. Who else was here then? Okay. I checked the census, and in the early 60s, the population was 12,000. I was 8 years old, and even then, the shaggy palm trees surrounding Lake Park seemed ancient. And Main Street, with its surf shops, was pretty much all single-story buildings. It felt relaxed. It felt free. It felt open. There were intersections with no stop signs. There were fields of asparagus and strawberries, and everywhere citrus. Groves of oranges, lemons, and grapefruit. And in between all that agriculture and the creaky, tired pump jacks left over from the oil boom were fresh tracts of land, whole neighborhoods being newly cleared and framed for housing. They were everywhere, sprouting with promise, just waiting for young families like mine to make a home. Back then, the southbound 405 freeway dead-ended at Seal Beach Boulevard. So my dad, who commuted to El Segundo for work, had to exit there and jog over to PCH to get home. We bought a 4-bedroom house in a tract right across Hamilton. It's called Fashion Shores. In those days, there was no Huntington Center, certainly no South Coast Plaza. And the Irvine Ranch was a ranch. I attended Eder Elementary, Dwyer Junior High, and then the brand new Geisler Junior High over here on this side of town. I can remember the day that a sparkling 7-Eleven store opened on the corner of Hamilton and Bouchard. It seemed to pop up overnight. My friend Louis Cassell's mom and dad were the owners. We'd saunter home after school in 8th grade. We'd stop in for a Slurpee. It was a revelation. 2 flavors in 1 cup. That same year, we watched as Edison was being constructed on the vacant fields across the street from my house. And later, in 1970, I literally hopped my back fence to make it to my first class every morning. Our little tract of homes had kids my age on every street. There must have been 20 or 30 of us. It was a terrific time and place to grow up. New friends. The whole mood was new. Wear a shirt and something on our feet. Imagine thousands of teenage girls in mini skirts and flip-flops. It was pretty great. My time at Edison began slowly. I had to pick my way through the mass of students to find my place. And it took a while. It was a welcoming and encouraging place with teachers and staff everywhere who truly cared about us. I'm sure many former students would say the same. In particular, I was shaped by 2 teachers, Richard Odie, who my brother mentioned, the choir director, and Chuck Stannert, who taught theater, drama, and English. These men put me in their performing groups. They challenged me embraced me, counted on me, and were somehow exceptional blessing to be able to make a living doing something one loves. We made a lot of great music over the years, and our little company helped stimulate the local economy along the way, of which I'm very proud. I'm grateful also for the group of people at table 6 and table 11. Those tables are filled with longtime friends, gifted and loving, all whom I've known since make old friends. And it is so true. Those people right there, that's a bunch of 50-year friendships molded when we were teenagers. You all warm my heart, all of you. Finally, I'm grateful that this alumni committee thought me worthy to be an example of a former student whose life and career might be highlighted. There are certainly plenty of others who could have been justly chosen. It is a real honor. Thank you very much.
I think the theme, not only tonight, but on our previous events that we've had, has been this family issue and these lifelong groups. When I walked on the campus, I was teaching in 1974.